Sean here from the Kayak Flyer Podcast. We're going to finish up this fly today. You saw us introduce the Gary Krebs popper cutters from River Roads Creations, and then you saw us cut one of the poppers. So today we're going to sort of put those together on a hook. I'm using a size 4 BS10. I think you can tie this on a size 2 without any problem. I think if you're going to put a lot of stuff on the back, you could even tie it on a size 1 without having any issue. I'm not going to put a lot on the back. Just a couple pieces of feather is really all I'm going to put on. So one of the things, if you remember last time, we used the needle that they supplied to put a hole through the side of the popper. You can take and thread some small legs through that needle. And once you do that, you can go back through that exact same hole you had. Now, you can put super glue in here to make this stay a little bit tighter. You want to come through that same hole if you can. I missed it this time, so oh well. You can put a little bit of super glue to keep those legs in place. There's nothing wrong with that. I think with the size of the legs that I have, I'm going to be all right. I may go through and add that super glue after the fact, once I get everything tied. That way I don't have a whole lot of glue, because there's already going to be some glue involved, and I just don't want to have a whole ton of it all over my fingers while I'm tying this. Okay, so once I have that, I'm going to take my razor blade and I'm going to try to find the very bottom of this popper. And it doesn't matter if you put the legs in before or after, you're not going to cut all the way up to the legs. Try and find the center, and you're going to cut a notch, and that notch has to be big enough for you to be able to put this hook around. And if you're like me, you might want to dress that hook ahead of time with a little bit of thread, just to give it a little bit of abrasion, something to grip to. So we're going to take and find the center, and then we're going to cut through that like so. It may not be perfectly centered, but eyeball it close enough. So once that's done, take a little bit of your glue, whichever glue you prefer. I've got Gorilla Glue laying around. I know most of you will probably wind up using Zap-A-Gap. It really, I don't think, matters. I've never had the fish turn away from the type of glue I had, but I've been fishing for hungry fish, not picky fish. Now if you pinch this at the top, grab those legs and pinch it at the top, you'll see that crease, that line come in from the back, and push that forward. Push that forward to the front of the hook and lay that right down on top of it, where you get it right up there toward the hook eye. Try to get it down as far as possible and let that glue seal that up. And you can push it down, push it up through there. Just let that glue grab a hold. You can also pinch it across the bottom if you want. Pinch down. Just the opposite of how we pushed up to get it open, we can push down to seal it. So that glue is gonna hold on to it pretty quick. Now, take your thread, whatever thread you like. I'm gonna be using a heavier thread because I have a tendency to break thread, so that's what I'm gonna do. And we're gonna work on the back of this, which is kind of unusual. Usually we'll tie from the back forward. Here we've put the front of the fly on, and then we're going backwards. No big deal though. You are a professional and you know what you're doing. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take a couple of schlappen feathers. I'm gonna sort of pair them up. Make this tail as long as you want. I'm just using olive because I've got an olive body. You can color that however you want to. Split those apart. And then tie them on. Again, this is just a regular popper, so we're not trying for anything too fancy. You can add some water silk in there if you want to from Fly Tyer's Dungeon. I'm just going to give this a quick wrap up to the front, and you can see where we grabbed that glue is not quite set yet, so we may want to wait, but for the purposes of the video we're just going to go ahead and tie it. So we're just going to wrap that around a handful of times, wrap it off. Make sure all those feathers are right where we want them. We're just going to snip this off. Again, this is, you know, you're looking for a reactionary bite, so this doesn't have to be the most beautiful thing in the world. But we want a lot of movement, and we're going to get that really nice pop. So just wrap it up and whip finish over your legs. And I like to do a couple of those. Make sure your legs are not in there. And then we'll do one more whip finish. And that is how easy it is to tie a perfect popper using the Gary Krebs popper. Once we're all said and done, since I'm not going to glue these, I'll go ahead and split these legs up into 3 different legs. Bang. Bang. You can sort of see there. Bang. Bang. And since these are all still going to be in one piece inside, I'm not worried too much about gluing it. But there you go. You've got the perfect popper. You can go back now and use, since the bottom's all closed up, you can do a couple different things here. If you want to use some Loon UV and sort of close that up and make it a little bit harder, if you want to hit it again with a little bit more super glue, feel free to do that. If you want to, you know, take a Sharpie and color these in some way, you're perfectly able to do that. If you want to glue some eyes on, that's another option. But what you've got is you've got just a really fast, easy, repeatable popper that you can tie and load your fly box up with. This is Sean from the Kayak Flyer Podcast. Join us on the Kayak Flyer Podcast because we talk to all types of guests, including, you know, the guys from Fly Tires Dungeon as well as the guys from River Road Creations. And head over to River Road Creations and let them know that Kayak Flyer sent you whenever you purchase your Gary Krebs poppers.